Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to get into kind of a continuation of the last video. Now the last video I covered more of how to move with the Saber because a lot of people were having trouble with just staying in one spot. They weren't really moving that much. So I started to get into some concepts of how you can take the Saber, start using both hands, start moving with the Saber, that kind of thing. I did cover a concept last time in the last video, which was, I'll briefly describe it here. It's basically if you're in a downward wield on your right side, okay? The first concept was actually changing the direction of the Saber itself. And the way I showed doing that is of that one aerial where you're actually taking a downward wield and changing it into an upward wield. Okay. Now I haven't changed my body position at all. I've just changed the direction of the Saber. And if you remember, I also got into a concept of if like I'm in a downward wheel on my right side and I step with that, then it becomes an upward wield again on my right side, but this time it's an upward wield because I've changed the orientation of my body to the Saber. And that's really what I'm going to get into more in detail in this video, is the orientation of the Saber. So what do I mean by that? The orientation of the Saber is how the Saber is spinning in relation to your body position, okay? So like I said, there was one example of it there where you're taking a basic downward wield, and by stepping with it, it becomes an upward wield. However, if you remember me saying this, it's still spinning in the exact same direction as it was with the downward wield, okay? The only thing that changes is your relationship to the Saber because of your body position. So, like I said in the last video, if we take that downward wield, again, from your point of view, this is spinning counterclockwise, okay? And if I take a step with that move, that becomes an upward wield, even though the Saber is still spinning in that counterclockwise direction, okay? So this is a very important concept to grasp because it's going to allow you to not only move with the Saber, obviously, but it's also going to open up a lot of techniques for you. For instance, if I just start moving with the Saber, okay, obviously it's going to change my orientation of the Saber, but I'm really not using both hands to their full potential, I guess. So a lot of people, when I always say this, when they start learning how to use the Saber, okay, I always say to take each move and learn it in each hand. That way you're not stuck using just your dominant hand, your off hand, whichever. You're actually building both hands with the same techniques. So this is actually going to allow you to use those same techniques in each hand, okay? So you're not stuck mainly using your dominant hand. A quick example of that is if I were to take that shoulder roll, and again this move has many names. I've heard it called the Eclipse, I've heard it called the Obiani. That's probably the name most people know it as. I call it the shoulder roll. If we take this one move, and this is in my right hand, okay? If I were to change direction, or change my orientation to the Saber with this move, it becomes an upward wield, okay? So how do I get that move, that shoulder roll move, in my left hand? That is changing the orientation of the Saber. So again, if I start with that downward wield in my right hand, obviously to change my orientation I need to take a step, okay? So if I take that step, again, I'm in the upward wield in this position, but it's in my right hand. So if I take another move, which is kind of that front spin that's part of the blade barrier, if I take that move and combine it at this point, right there, I can now do that downward shoulder roll in my left hand. Okay, so from the other side, I'm starting with the shoulder roll in my right hand. Okay, keep this in mind. I'm taking a step which changes the orientation of that move to the upward wield, and then from there I can transition that with that front spin into a downward wield on my left hand. So now I can do that shoulder roll move in my left hand now. So that's what I mean by changing the orientation of your body to the saber will allow you to use pretty much all the techniques you've learned in each hand, okay? That way you're not stuck doing like all your downwards on your right side of your body and all the upwards on the left side, okay? Again, this allows you to open up both hands. So this would be another example, okay? This is the classic blade barrier that I've covered in other videos. So if you can see here, if we break this down, I've got a downward wield on my left side and an upward wield, I'm sorry, a downward wield on my right side and an upward wield on my left side. Okay? So downward wield, upward wield. So remember, right, down, left, up, okay? Again, if I change my orientation to the saber, now I've got right up and left down. So I can essentially do that blade barrier in the opposite direction, as opposed to, you know, right down, left up. I can change that to right up, left down. Okay? So that really opens up a whole lot of moves for you. It allows you to take every move that you've learned in one hand and do it on the opposite hand. So you're not stuck doing, you're not limited in a way, okay? That's really the main concept I want everyone to grasp with this, because a lot of the times you'll see people, when they're spinning, they're stuck in one direction, okay? And like I said, you can change the direction without moving, which is, you know, that one aerial I showed you. That'll actually change the direction of the saber without moving. So again, if we take that classic shoulder roll downward on my right side, okay, I can change the saber itself. So now I'm in upwards, so now if I do that blade barrier, I can do that shoulder roll on my left side. I haven't moved, I haven't changed my orientation to the saber, but I've changed the direction of the saber. And like I just said, the other way to do that is with moving. Okay, so there it is on my left side. So that's going to open up a whole lot of moves for you, okay? And once you get that concept down, then you can really start playing with those moves and combining them together. So you can actually really enhance your routines. You can start moving a lot more, you know. You know, that kind of stuff. So you can really open up movement. You can really combine all the moves you've learned into both hands, so you're not stuck using mainly your dominant hand or mainly your offhand. I would say this is more useful with a single saber as opposed to dual sabers or a staff. It does apply more to a staff than dual sabers, because dual sabers you have a saber in each hand the entire time, so you can't really swap them unless you're doing, you know, a lot of aerials at a time, things like that. So that's honestly really all I wanted to cover in this video. I really want people to grasp this concept of, you know, how the saber moves in relation to your body and how you can change that to use it in each hand, okay? If anyone has any questions about this, I know this is kind of a difficult concept to grasp for a lot of new beginners, so if you have any questions, obviously just email me or, you know, send me a comment or something. I believe in the next video we're going to start getting into more of the combative side. I know a lot of people have asked me to get into the combative side of sabers, so I'll try to do as best I can with that. For right now, if you have any more suggestions for like flourishing videos, please let me know. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.